They said it couldn't happen. That a man serving his country could never lose the home he loved while defending his nation. But Marcus was about to learn just how wrong that assumption could be. Thousands of miles from Oakwood Heights, surrounded by desert heat and the deafening roar of military drills, his family faced an unimaginable reality. Notices arrived like ticking bombs, fines multiplied overnight. And then came the unthinkable. His sanctuary, his ranch, his memories was being stripped away without warning. Doors that once welcomed laughter were now barred. Rules became weapons in the hands of those he trusted. And yet, even in that chaos, Marcus knew one thing: he wouldn't go down quietly. How do you fight a system that wields power without conscience, and can they really take everything from a soldier while he's overseas? Oakwood Heights had always looked perfect. Wide streets, manicured lawns, neighbors greeting each other with polite smiles. Marcus and his wife Elena had fallen in love with the community instantly. Their ranch-style home was modest but welcoming, a wraparound porch, a sprawling yard for the kids to play, and an old oak tree that became the children's favorite hiding spot. Marcus, a dedicated soldier, balanced duty and family life with precision, even while deployed. Calls, at first, Oakwood Heights seemed serene, but subtle tensions simmered under the surface. A neighbor frowned at a slightly taller fence. A note slipped under the door about a mailbox. Small, almost invisible pressures began building cracks in the foundation of their tranquility. It started innocuously, a warning about a flower bed creeping over an HOA boundary. Marcus thought, I can fix this, no big deal? But every fix seemed to invite a new complaint. Lawn rules, paint colors, holiday decorations, nothing escaped scrutiny. The stage was set. A home filled with laughter and life was about to become a battlefield. What began as small, almost invisible pressures would grow into a storm capable of shaking the very foundation of Marcus's life. At first, the complaints were subtle pinpricks. Then they became relentless. Marcus received notes about trash cans left out too long, about basketball hoops violating visual standards, about stepping stones spaced incorrectly. Each complaint came with implied threats. He documented everything: photos, letters, timestamps. Each infraction added weight, a chain tightening around the family home. Elena felt the pressure at home. Sleepless nights, anxious phone calls, and the kids noticing the tension. Even mundane acts, watering the garden, hanging laundry, felt like potential violations. Then came the first shocker, a legal-looking notice stating that his property might be up for forced sale. Marcus was thousands of miles away, fighting for his country, and yet his home was under threat. Panic and disbelief collided, but so did determination. Neighbors started whispering, some sympathetic, others siding with the HOA. Fines escalated. Notices multiplied. Each rule seemed designed to be impossible to follow. Every board action carried the weight of intimidation. Marcus compiled a strategy: timelines, photos, legal counsel. Each infraction, each notice, each minor interaction became part of a meticulously organized record. The tipping point arrived when the HOA scheduled a board hearing to decide the status of Marcus's property. Threats of escalation, fines, and possible foreclosure loomed. The neighborhood polarized. Some stood silently with him, others echoed complaints. Marcus knew the next moves would decide the fate of his home and the balance of power in Oakwood Heights. The day of reckoning arrived. Marcus returned, weary yet determined. The air was heavy with anticipation. Neighbors watched, whispers carried over fences. The board entered, stiff and confident, unaware that their authority would crumble. Marcus laid down a meticulously organized binder, every fine, every notice, every infraction documented. He spoke calmly but with intensity. Every rule you've cited, every fine, every notice reveals a pattern of abuse, intimidation, and targeting my family while I served overseas. Gasps rippled. Neighbors leaned forward. Board members floundered as he exposed overlooked clauses invalidating their actions. Procedural errors, selective enforcement, intimidation tactics, all laid bare. A murmuring rose among neighbors. Questions were asked. Why are deployed soldiers targeted? Why is enforcement inconsistent? Each inquiry weakened the board's position. Marcus's legal team outlined procedural flaws. Each point dismantled the board's authority. The room's psychological shift was palpable. Fear evaporated, accountability emerged. Marcus had transformed private intimidation into public exposure. Finally, Marcus highlighted the clause invalidating the forced sale. Silence. Board members' authority crumbled. "Your threats, your fines, and your intimidation tactics end now," he stated. Neighbors approached, some timidly, some boldly. The victory was not just personal, it was a warning, a lesson in civic courage and moral clarity. Yet even in triumph, a lingering question hovered. Could the board recover, or had their reign of fear ended? After the showdown, a stillness settled. The house stood intact, but the emotional residue lingered. Marcus and Elena focused on restoring normalcy, tending the garden, repainting fences, re-establishing routines. Each act symbolized reclaiming control and peace. The neighborhood transformed. Neighbors who had been silent became vigilant. Informal meetings, discussions, and shared documentation fostered awareness. Oakwood Heights evolved into a community of active participants in safeguarding their rights. Marcus's children learned critical lessons: courage, resilience, and moral responsibility. The HOA, now publicly scrutinized, adjusted practices. Some members resigned. Others learned to respect transparency and fairness. Beyond Oakwood Heights, Marcus's story circulated online. Forums, military family networks, and community groups shared his experience as a blueprint for justice, accountability, and vigilance. Ordinary citizens realized they could confront authority, document facts, and inspire change. Marcus himself changed. Months of stress taught patience, strategic thinking, and emotional resilience. Authority, he realized, is a privilege, not a right. Accountability is the shield protecting ordinary people from injustice. Years later, Oakwood Heights retained its charm, but with vigilance woven into its fabric. The children played freely. Gardens bloomed. Streets felt safe. But behind serenity was a network of residents aware, empowered, and resilient, a living classroom in civic responsibility. Marcus often reflected on the journey. The battle had been for home, dignity, and justice. And as the sun set, he asked the question that lingered: when power oversteps, who will stand to reclaim what is rightfully theirs? A question that would echo forever in Oakwood Heights and for anyone who heard Marcus's story. A question proving that ordinary people, armed with knowledge, courage, and preparation, can confront authority, expose injustice, and inspire lasting change.